Good morning, everybody. It's Scott from Scott Allen Custom Projects. Just heading out to Strathmore, the community of Lakewood, first thing this morning. We're going to do some tar, tab, and tile. I can explain all that when we get out there. And the framers are started. We haven't even got the backfilling done, but they are on it. So they got the floor and they're already working on walls. So I'll get you some more info right away. Everybody, good morning. Before I go up the ladder, I just want to show you something. These are ties, and this is what goes between the concrete to hold the forms together, okay? So when I talk about tile, tar, and tab, these are what we have to tab because it's a hole in the concrete. And so we put some thicker kind of like, it's like thick tar on top of these holes, and then we spray it. So that's something that I thought I'd show you. Now I'm going to show you how I have to mark this. So I know that with my plot plan, I have my elevations, which are top of floor, top of footing, and then I have a height that I have to have my ground level to in order to have my water sloping away from the house. So I know that it's 24 inches here. So I come here and I'll show you how I get that measurement. And I see my 24 inch. I make a mark. I've got a mark down on the other side. And I'm going to take my chalk line and I'll show you what I do there. So some people hire like a surveyor to come out and do this, but it's really pretty simple math, and I'll show you on the sheet a little bit later here. So I'm going to head down to a plank over there and show you what I'm going to do. All right, I measured this earlier, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook my chalk line. I'm going to walk all the way down to the other end there, and I will snap it. Oops. Okay, and that's going to give me a faint blue mark all the way across. And then what I'll do is I'll take my spray paint and I will just mark that so that when the guys show up to actually spray the tar, they know where to stop. So. Okay, so this is our approved plot plan that comes back from the architectural controls. We also have one that's approved by the town. So what I did is I did all the math at home, and the difference between, we have what's called the top of joist, and then we have actual top of footing, and that's the top of our footing in the ground and the top of our floor. So on these corners, we have other numbers that give us the height of the ground. So in this instance, they want us to have 12 inches of black dirt here as a water absorption technique. I'm not going to do full 12 inches of black dirt against the house. I'm going to make that lighter, so maybe 8 inches, and then I'll do 12 across. You don't like to have a bunch of black dirt sitting up against your house because it absorbs a ton of water, and you don't want water there. You want it to run away. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out about maybe 2 feet, and then I will have my 12 inches of dirt. You need this, and you need to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Some guys actually hire surveyors, which I have already said, and they come out and mark it for you. But I've done this a long time. I know how to mark it. So anyways, okay, I'm going to carry on. All right, everybody. You see I'm a little dirty. I just finished doing my markouts for the tar and tab guys. But I wanted to bring you up here onto the floor. As I said, my framer is a wild man. He is showed up with 5 guys and got this floor put on in a day. So I wanted to show you up here. We selected this lot in the first video of the build. I was standing back there, it was freezing cold, and I thought, yes, it is the one. As you can see, we actually have a beautiful mountain view here. I know it's hard to believe, but here in Strathmore, you got a beautiful mountain view. You're gonna have some of that lost, of course, with other houses, but here it is. And this is identical to the other show home, except we changed this stair. We changed this stair to have it go straight down rather than a curve in it. So we did that. And I wanted to show you inside the garage here. I talked about these sonotubes. And so there you can see we've got a bunch of fill that we've got to put in there. And naturally, you don't want it to settle, so we do some compaction. But these sonotubes are just another layer of protection for anything that settles. So we put our rebar into the sides of the walls, as I've shown in the past, into the front of the walls, and run outside of the door buck there. And we have the concrete slump into the top of those sonotubes. So it's a pretty solid thing. There it is, beautiful. Freezing cold here just the other day, and now it's beautiful. So. I wanted to show you what we do, or what the tile, tab, and tar is. So underneath this drainage rock is actually weeping tile. And the weeping tile runs around the exterior of the house and then into the house, and it is for excess water that comes here. This piece here runs down, and it is inside of a window well. And that means any water that collects in the window well in a big drainage or a big rainstorm will drain down to the bottom here and then get carried away and out to the storm sewer. So the drainage rock goes on top so that when we backfill, the water will still go through the clay, but we want it to seep through the drainage rock. We don't want it to be sealed off completely. So here, each one of these pieces has to be, it's called tabbing. And what they do is they put an extra thick piece of this tar over top of those, because that's where the ties come through. I've explained this lots of times, but it's important for people to know. And then they spray the tar on top of it. So now that that's all done, we have what's called the framing inspection, or the actual foundation inspection. That's scheduled for tomorrow. And he'll come out and make sure that we've got this done, our weeping tiles done, and we're in the clear. I've already had the electrical guys out, and what they've done is they've ran the wire from the front of the house up to here. They will put a meter on top there later, and then they run the wire down here, and it goes under the foundation, the bottom of the footing, and runs through the basement over to where our actual utility room is. Some people don't do that. They just put the meter box, or not the meter box, the actual panel on the inside of a bedroom and cover it. But we like to do that. So anyways, so that is the actual foundation part. So now we'll go and look and see what the guys are doing with the framing. Good morning, boys. How is everybody? Fantastic. Well, that's good. I like that. Boy, it's nice to see the interior. Now I know what it's going to look like. Okay, everybody, so we're upstairs on the floor here. They're framing the exterior walls. Once they get those done, they'll start the interiors. So I just wanted to show you a couple things, again, that are our standards. We use spruce plywood for our exterior, and we have a plywood floor, so we don't use OSB. Anyways, I'll show you a couple things about framing. So up top here is called the header, and that is what carries the loads from the center of any opening down to the exterior, to where we have our well, people call them king studs, some people call them cripples, it doesn't matter, but basically you can see that it carries the load to the outside and then down. So the things that I am really picky about is how well they cut everything, because if you have big gaps, and a gap can be, you know, whatever, 1/4 of an inch. I just don't like how it looks. Structurally, probably not a big difference, but I don't like it. And we got a bunch of guys here that are also fussy. They keep the site clean all the time. In this particular house, we got a lot of big windows. Chester's out here with the Zoom boom and moving some material in here for the guys. This is all 2x4 material, and so that's for the interior walls. We have some 2x6 that we'll build some walls for, and that's for all of our any kind of ducting, like our venting for our plumbing. So we have our trusses coming here later today, and so it's too windy today right now to start flying trusses, but we'll see what happens. This is the coming show home. So we're in the build, and our next phase after that'll be, after we finish framing, will be our rough ends. But for right now, you're gonna see several videos on framing because there's a lot involved here. So. Wow. Those look better. So we're here with Chester. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. I don't know why, but anyways, we try to be friends. Anyways, so Chester, I love how your sites are always pristine. Why? Why do you do that?
We try to keep them clean for potential homeowners, right? But even a homeowner, if it's sold, you know, you want to bring them in, look at the whatever, like changes or whatever, or just the house itself. Yeah. You know, so you want to be able so they can walk up freely without
and not break their ankle,
but not step on any nail. Or
okay.
Like that.
Well, that's a big deal because, of course, as you know, I'm fussy, as you can tell by the way I dress.
Not me.
But the other thing is, like the little things that you do, like your PL around the walls.
Yeah.
That whole thing. So
try to air seal.
Air seal
the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. So that everybody knows what I'm talking about. Every wall they attach to the floor, and what Chester does is he puts PL 400 around all of the walls themselves.
Yeah, around the perimeter.
Around the perimeter.
Yeah.
So, anyways, these are some of the things, and you got your boys work with you. I mean, it's
why I don't know.
Another thing. Yeah, they're still trying to
money.
They need the money.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's great to have somebody that's a good buddy that you can work with, and everything is great. So, thanks, man.
Thanks for employing us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We got the framers going like crazy. We were here yesterday, got some images of the exterior. We had no interior walls at that time. We've got a bunch of them done. We've only got a few left to do, and looks like, wow, they are done. So we got a wall that goes across there for our fridge and cabinets. So it looks like they're close on that. They're gonna be putting trusses up a little later. So they first have to in and out the walls, which is something I talked about on our previous show home. And that is to make sure your walls are all plumb and straight. So that's important. So we'll come back a little later and we'll show you that. And Steven here is just working like crazy. He's the best framer here other than the other guys. Okay, here's a few more things. I've talked about it in the past. We've got poly in between the top plates, and that is for the guys that do the insulation. We have to have a continuous barrier. So again, any place you have an interior wall going to an exterior wall, you have to have poly so that it can seal, because everything is poly. That's your vapor barrier on the inside of the house. The framers put that up. And again, you can see our headers up top over the windows. So those headers are what carry the loads. And I talked about that a bit. But like on this, it's a pretty small window, so there's not a huge weight. And this is, when you look at this framing job, if you're ever out and looking at some guys, you'll see that there's stuff that's just, it doesn't look clean like this site. I am a very particular guy, and so's Chester, and so are the fellas. So Chris up there right now. So what he's doing is he's got a chalk line, but the chalk line's not to snap any colors. That is for them to see how straight the wall looks. And that's when they're gonna start moving it in and out to make sure it's plumb and straight. So we'll come back after they have some of that on there so you can see what they do to do that. And anyways, more good information for you to know what those pieces of wood are. So here's what's happening. I got Chris down here and Chris up top there. And so what Chris down below here is going to be doing is, you can see he's going to pry that. Oh, he's got it too far. So he's going to pry it until that, that wall, the outside is straight. So, okay. What do you got? Good? Okay. So this brace comes up to the top here, and this string line, we want that string line to follow that top plate. The top plate is the top 2x6 in this instance because it's an outside wall. The top plate on the interiors are all, well, they're mostly 2x4. We do have some 2x6, and 2x6 is when we have like our stack for our main stack for plumbing, which is basically the air that runs into the building. And if we have big heating or something like that, we need 2x6 wall. But anyways, so we got probably another one that they're gonna put in. When they're all done, there'll be several of these, and then they'll start laying out the top wall for where they're gonna set the trusses. So they actually have like a diagram of where each truss goes, E4, E5, E6, and they lay that out on the top of those walls so that when they show up with the truck, they just, not the truck, sorry, the Zoom Boom. I'm a little distracted with all this stuff going on. The Zoom boom will lift up the trusses and the guys will set them. So anyways, we'll see that a little bit later. So the guys started putting the roof trusses up today, and they actually put the roof trusses on yesterday, and then we had this, it started to get pretty windy. So they came back today, started putting them up, and guess what came back? The wind. So it's pretty dangerous, so you can't really stand them up when it's this windy. But I got a few things to tell you about. So yesterday I had a foundation inspection, and while we're having the foundation inspection, we got our post and pad inspection. And the posts are what the beams sit on, teleposts. And the pads are what the telepost sits on, which is concrete. And they're usually 10 inches thick. So anyways, that's all cleared. We're good to go. I'm actually doing some backfilling today, just trimming up around here. I'm trying to get it all filled, the garage filled for the guys so that they can do the garage out there, the framing. And yeah, it's a sunny day, but if I step out from behind this wall, it's a windy day too. So really, we're gonna have to have another video for the framing, because we kind of thought that they would be putting some sheathing up on the roof, but not today. So anyways, sorry.